Jerry Cantrell's guitars and Check My Brain are just amazing, and they're so hypnotic. How did you record those guitars?
That was a massive setup. So, we have, one, you have Jerry Cantrell. I mean, the guy just, he's an amazing player. Two, we're holed up at 606 Dave Grohl's studio. We had, I believe it was 5 cabinets mic'd up. So we had his Marshall. We had an Orange, and we had his Bogner Fish going through a Mesa Boogie power amp, 2 channels out because it was massive. So that had 2 cabinets. And I think there was one more cabinet with what other head was that? Anyways, so we have 5 cabinets, and they all have 2 microphones on them. So between 421s and 57s and SM7s and FET 41s, FET 47s. I'm sorry. We had to move those mics around until phase was extremely tight, and then per cabinet, and then each cabinet had to be as tight to the next cabinet, and isolating those, and and then Cantrell came in, fired up his rig, played a couple of chords, turned around and looked at us, and we were like, all right, we got it. Our job was done. He's got a smile on his face. But so those guitars on that record are 3 passes for the main rhythms. There's a left, a right, and a center. And he's just that tight with himself. It sounds like one big performance.
And what mic pre's do you use for that?
That was all Neve.
Neve?
Yeah. So this was the Neve board that was at Dave Grohl's studio before he purchased the Sound City Neve. So this was an inline console. It was, pretty slick and lots of, a little bit more modern than the 8028. But still a great sounding desk.
So how do you deal with phase cancellation with all those mics? I remember this was, I guess, back in 2006 or something like that, working on Michael Wagner's studio. I remember the way he did it was just using like headphones. The amp was really loud. He was using, I don't know, some kind of, maybe the noise of the amp or some kind of white noise, and then like I think he panned the microphones, and when the sound came from the center, the phase was just perfect. Something like that. Yeah. If I remember right. So how do you do that?
I guess that's one trick. I haven't heard of that one, but it makes sense. So what I do is, I'll find the sound with on one speaker, and then my cabinets are, they'll all be the same speaker. Either 65, 75s or vintage 30s. Dial in a sound with the one main speaker, and then on the next speaker, positioning that mic to where it is, as close, now I'm looking at capsules, how far the capsule is from the grill.
Okay. And
I'll pull that capsule back and forth until, visually it looks like it's right on. And then I'll go back to the control room, and we'll play, and I push that fader up until it cancels out. And if I can't get that fader to cancel out, like really make that original mic signal as thin as it possibly can be, then I've got to move the mic around some more. Make sure I can really, make sure that that's adding. So once I get that in place, then I just blend in and have whichever microphone to lead, and then tuck in what else I need to hear rather than just going straight to an EQ.
And how loud were the amps?
Very loud.
Very loud.
Yeah, very loud. Like we want the speakers to push, and we want the amp to do most of the work instead of the mic pre's pick. You have to gain up a mic pre, so we're pushing into the microphones pretty loud.
And before I forget, the FET 47s were for like room mics, or they were close to?
They were right on the speaker cabinet. So that's what made checking phase difficult, because that capsule is in the middle of this, it's kind of a cylinder. So you have to figure it's about almost an inch away from, if you're right up on the grill, you're almost an inch and a quarter away. So now if you've got a 421 or a 57, you have to make sure that microphone is the same distance from that speaker. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So on Rainier Fog, we're doing the same thing. We're up in Seattle, and I had a piece of tape on my phone, and because I was using that as my flashlight because it was always on me, and I had a piece of tape, and I had marks for where like the 47 FET capsule meets. Like I had markings on the tape, and so where the FET met on this piece of tape, this little line, I could go to the other speaker and pull the 57 to the exact same spot. Mm-hmm. And then that just saved time. So almost like a ruler, but it worked.
Cool. Mm-hmm. Do you use, not for recording, but maybe for mixing, something like the Autoline plugin?
What's this plugin?
Autoline.
Yeah. No, because what we do is, I'm a fan of committing to the guitar sound. So I'm bussing all of these mics together. So creating one sound. So it's and you can't change it. It's if somebody else is going to mix this thing, they can't goof that up because it's already been summed down. However many mics there were to create it, it's one track. And I really like that because I get sessions and everything's got an output or and everything's got a track, and I'm like, all right, well, I just imported all these audio files. All my faders are at 0. Is this where they wanted these tracks? Mm-hmm. Whether it comes from Logic or whatever DAW they're using. So I like to commit.
That's perfect. So was there any distortion pedal used, or was it just the amps?
We were getting the gain from the amps. If we need an extra little push, like it was the Laney Clip. That was that other amp. Okay. So and that just has an insane breakup. But that amp, it's kind of on the cleaner side. It's super loud, but that clip circuit is so wild. But we'll stick like a TS-808 on there, like a tube screamer. Mm-hmm.
Like
so that would be the only. Cantrell has one of those new hardwired versions, the reissue, and it sounds great. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Is Jerry usually in the control room or in the live room?
If they're tracking with Sean, they'll all be in the live room. When we're so we'll track and get the drum take, like capture the energy, the push and the pull, and all the intensity and that. Then when we're ready to track guitars, he's in the control room with all the heads, and we have like speaker cables going out into the live room and like a pretty elaborate setup because Jerry likes to paint with his guitar tones, so we have to have lots of options available.
Mm-hmm. And when he doubles the guitars, does he use the same guitar or switch to a different one?
No, usually. So, if he's using a Rampage, he might use his other Rampage on the other side. But mostly he's, all right, there's a Rampage on one side and a Les Paul on the other side, and there'll be an SG or a V or something else in the center. Mm-hmm. So that helps create width.
To watch the full video, click the link below and don't forget to subscribe.